back to Tag Team, the Pokemon Trading Card Game's premier podcasting duo. My name is JW Kriewall, and today I'm joined by my good friend, Andrew Mahone. Andrew, how are you today?
I'm doing wonderful, JW. Thank you for asking. Yeah, things are going well. Getting ready for the Full Grip Games 6K Mega Evolution doubleheader. Getting ready for, my wife Natalie is going to vend the Pittsburgh Regional Championships. We can finally announce that. I
saw the post.
Gaming Gen wanted to keep the vendors confidential until the week of, for some reason, which very severely impacts vendors' ability to advertise for the fact that they're going to be at a show, and impacts their ability to do a pickup at event service, which is something that has been very popular for Full Grip in years past, where players can order cards for pickup at the event, basically allowing them to, guarantee that it basically guarantees shipping, right? Because typically you order cards, you're like, I don't know if they're going to show up to my house in time for the event. And then when I get to the event, I don't know if the vendor's going to have the cards I need, right? It basically eliminates all of that stress and all of that hubbub because you can just order the cards on the site. Oh, they're going to be at the event. I'll order for pickup at event and I'll just show up to the booth. They'll have my package. I'll take it. Great, right?
Yep.
But yeah, so I don't know. Gaming Gen has basically just didn't allow vendors to announce their presence at the upcoming Pittsburgh Regional Championships until yesterday. So, and then yesterday was Monday. So Monday of in the regionals happened. So the week of, literally the week of. So that is just a total head scratcher and something that, I don't love. But anyways, yeah. So Full Grip, my wife Natalie, Full Grip is going to be vending the Pittsburgh Regional Championships. I will not be there. I will be attending the homecoming weekend for my alma mater, Allegheny College in Meadville, Pennsylvania, because we are having a memorial for one of my teammates who passed away, who was actually the head track and field and cross country coach as well. But he was a teammate of mine years ago when I was attending college. And passed away this summer. So there's going to be a memorial there for him. So I'm going to be there on Saturday, meeting up with a lot of old friends that I haven't seen in a long time. So I'm very much looking forward to that. And
unfortunate that it has to come at.
I mean, yeah, obviously
time, right?
it's horrible. And I had mentioned it on the cast months ago when it was fresh. And horrible that it's under these circumstances, but I am really looking forward to seeing some people that I haven't seen in over a decade. So it's gonna be nice. I'm running a race there because there's a cross country meet for our cross country team, and alumni are allowed to participate in the race. And now I had not planned on running in the 8K race, which is 5 miles. I had not planned on it, but some of my friends who are also going to be there were like, you should do it. We're all going to be running slow too. And I'm like, all right, fine. Well, if there's going to be some other slow pokes out there with me, then sure. But I was not, I didn't know what the competitiveness level of it was. If it's fast alumni only, or is 8-minute mile pace okay? But
yeah. Well, so here's what I will never understand about runners. How do you guys talk when you run? That's crazy.
No, I'll tell you
that blows my mind.
When you're in good shape, it's easy. You could sing while you run. You can,
That's insane to me. Even in my best shape, because there was a time, grad school, I was in the gym and I would run. I mean, I do treadmill stuff, especially as I got into winter time. But I'd run a 5K, and that would be my workout some days, right? And I'd run a 5K, I'd say, 2 to 4 times, like not every day, but somewhere in that like 2 to 4 times a week.
Yeah.
Right. Just at the gym. That would be my workout or whatever. But I was like, by the end of that, like, I'm just like huffing and puffing. I was in great shape. I remember like basketball was super fun because I'm just like sprinting up and down the court and stuff. But, yeah, I just like couldn't ever, I'd had to focus on running. I had to keep all my energy there. And then I'm like breathing, I'm using that time to breathe, not to.
It's funny because I kind of get both sides of it right now. Like, I'm in pretty good shape.
Yeah.
All things considered, right? Like, I ran 9 miles last week, like with my friends Craig and Tracy. I ran 4 miles today. I'm probably running 10 miles a week or so, I'm not really on any sort of crazy training regimen, just kind of just running just to run and stay in shape. But back when I was running 50, 60 miles a week in college, when you're just doing that many miles, running becomes like a non-thing. It feels like you're walking when you run. So it's just a matter of numbers. When you're running 60 miles a week, it just doesn't feel like you're doing anything. It's just the only way that I could describe it. So talking, singing, all that is like a non-issue. It's like you would talk to your friends if you were walking in the park with them. That's how easy running is when you're running that much. Now, I'm at the point now where I'll go on runs. Like, I went on a run with my son in the stroller, right? And he is heavy, okay, in the 99th percentile of 1-year-olds, okay? And he was born a month premature, and he's still in the 99th percentile. He is about the size of your average 2-year-old, and he just turned 1, to kind of put it into perspective. So he's massive. He's like 30 pounds. And I'm pushing him around on the running stroller. I ran 4 miles with him in the running stroller today. And like, he does a good job, I would say, like generally in the running stroller, like he likes it. He has fun, but sometimes he'll get a little cranky, like, just give me a little one of those. But the only thing that I can do to like get him to like chill out, because I ran 4 miles with him, that's like a pretty long time to be on the road.
A long time. Yeah.
Right. So, like, he's got to be patient. So sometimes he gets a little cranky. The only thing that calms him down is if I sing to him while I'm running. And I am just, like, not in the same cardiovascular shape that I used to be in. So, like, now I'll be like, oh, Mr. Son, Mr. Golden Son, please shine down on me. And I'm like, I could barely make it through the first verse, bro. And I'm like, all right, buddy, you got to give me 5.
Yeah.
Give me 5. I'll have a new song up for you in a second.
Yeah. Yep. That's fun. Yeah. It reminds me of one time my wife and Harper was 1.5 maybe. We took her to Utah for a get together with some of Anne's college friends, and she was the only baby there, but we bought a hiking backpack because we were going to do some hikes. And there was one hike that we did that was it was probably the steepest hike I have ever done. Like, and I had spent a month and a half out in Colorado in graduate school, and we did, hikes pretty much every other day, I would say, around the 14ers in the area. And taking my daughter up on the hiking backpack, and it was basically like it was a steep hike to begin with, and then the last maybe quarter of a mile were just these like massive steps, stone steps essentially up to the top, up to this peak. And it was just, I like had to take like 2 steps and then like, because you're working against the elevation there too. So.
Oh, for sure.
So carrying the weight, the elevation, and the steppage, the incline was just nuts. So. Anyway.
How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good, man. Yeah. Lions got a big win this last week. Needed that. And it sets us up for a great one. Ravens versus Lions on Monday Night Football.
That's right. My Ravens are also 1-1. So.
Yep.
Yeah,
that was embarrassing. That first game was.
It was okay. It was awesome, and then it was embarrassing. Okay, because we did put up 40
Right, that's true.
We did put up freaking 40 points. Now, the fourth quarter collapse was embarrassing, and there's a lot of, yes, but anyways, I digress. Yes, that's in the past now. We're 1-1.
Right.
It's not like it was like a totally embarrassing showing. Like there was a lot of good to take away from that first game.
Yeah.
An away game, so.
Right. Yeah, basically have it locked up, 99% chance to win,
and then just completely collapse. I mean, that's just like the Ravens in a nutshell. So
yeah. The Lions had a pretty dominant win against Chicago. Obviously, losing the opener to the Packers was a bit, I don't want to say unexpected, but I think if you've watched the Packers' trajectory over the last few seasons, they've definitely been a team on the rise. And then they trade for Michael Parsons, and it's I see those two as fighting for the division, at least in the short term for the next 3-4 years.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, especially
the
with
Packers
Love
just looked insane.
at the helm.
Yeah, and Love is
good.
finally looking like he was looking good last season for sure, but he's like, really certainly this season something has kind of flipped in terms of his decision making and his throws and stuff. So looking forward to that. So all that to say, how does this affect you, tag team listener? We're going to be recording on Tuesday again next week. So
that's right. Because I ain't showing up to record.
That's for sure.
Probably not showing up to record.
Yeah, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So how's your fantasy team doing?
Oh, just absolute pits, dude. Like it was horrible. I had like Xavier Worthy and Joe Burrow on my team.
Oh, wow. Hell, you could. I mean, if they get points for being, if there's any way you can get points for them not being out on the field, I think you might win your league.
Dude, scuffed. The whole season is scuffed. It's cool. We scoop. We go next year, dude.
That's right. Well, tell me you don't have any league punishments for finishing last.
No. Okay. No, just I lose my $10, but that's fine.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, there were a lot of people that lost a lot of money this weekend. Let's move into the regional championships from both Frankfurt and Monterey. We had a doubleheader this weekend across the globe, and some really fascinating stuff. I mean, we got to get into this. We have Pittsburgh coming up. That's the first North American regional for the season. I will be attending. Of course, you will not. We have Jesse that's going as well from the group, and so we're trying to get our minds around what we saw out of both Frankfurt and Monterey. Pretty interesting stuff in my opinion. Let's dig right into it. We had in Frankfurt, Rune Heremans, German player, winning with a fairly standard Gardevoir. We can get into some of these lists here in a second, but the big interest between the two tournaments was the Gardevoir deck winning in Frankfurt, getting first and second in Monterey. Same exact list from the same group that had worked on it for these tournaments. So once again, if you're going to Pittsburgh or any tournaments in the near future, probably not the best idea to take a loss to Gardevoir. Jesse's really been trying to get me to say hey, one of these tournaments, it's going to be fine to take an L to Gardevoir. One of these tournaments, and it really just hasn't happened. I mean, Gardevoir's dominance is just ridiculous. We'll get a little bit more into that in a second. Tord came in second here in Frankfurt with a very unique Dragapult list, and as you can see, Dragapult was one of the stories here at the top. Certainly a lot of different ways. You had straight Dragapult piloted by Kato Arai, Tord with his unique Dragapult Dusknoir, and then Fabian Puhl with a Dragapult Blaziken deck, which was fascinating. The other main storyline out of both Frankfurt and Monterey were the advent of the Tera Box decks. You see 3 in the ASIM cut here in Frankfurt, and then 2 in top 8 over in Monterey. So that was a big deal. And then, of course, Gardevoir just taking Monterey by storm. So let's get into some of these lists. Let's take a look at the Gardevoir deck. This was pretty common between both, the winning list in Frankfurt and the winning list in Monterey, both the same here. This new, Henry Chow concoction, I guess you could say. let's take a look at this. Anything jumping out to you here, Andrew, when you look at this Gardevoir deck?
It's looking like Gardevoir to me, man.
Well, it always does. It's like 2 or 3 cards that are different, right?
Yeah, there's no Drifloon, there's 3 Bravery Charm, yup. We got 3 Monkey, 3 Dark. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. Seems solid. I mean, it's 4 Research, 4 Iono, 2 Arvin.
Yeah, I think the big innovation is like certainly the Bravery Charm. The 3rd Bravery Charm allows you to get your EXs, boost their HP, but I think more so gives you better protection for Screamtail, allows you to get up to those big numbers, so you're kind of like saving space in a way by not having to play Drifloon. You maybe get enough damage output from the Screamtail. Certainly in the Goldengo matchup, right? You're able to hit for enough numbers, and then you can manipulate damage with Monkey Dory. You can take one shots pretty regularly on Goldengos, which is an area that Gardevoir struggles in. That's a matchup that it has a tough time with. But the 2-card, I think, surprise for me and most players was the maxing of the Earthen Vessel. So that's a 4 count. Historically has been at about 2 or 3, and then playing extra Psychic. So really trying to go for that aggressive play early on, being able to get your Psychics in the discard pile, playing the 4 Ultra Ball, playing the 4 Research, the Secret Box, getting all those basic energy in the discard pile such that you can get a faster start, ramp up quicker to those one-shots.
Yeah, I mean, with Secret Box, it's just super easy to pop off. You do only play 2 rare candy, but being able to find those energy easily, being able to make plays where like you Earthen Vessel for 2 Psychic energy, then Earthen Vessel those energy away, then Ultra Ball. So it's very easy to pile up plenty of energy in the discard pile early with 3 Bravery Charm. You're capable of hitting numbers early with Screamtail. There's not like a ton of Tool Scrapper being played right now, which does kind of seem like it's like a meta thing, right? Where you're just kind of taking advantage of that. And that's kind of the name of the game right now, as we kind of also saw the reemergence of Tera Box come back. And I was picking Jesse's brain about it. I'm like, why is this deck back? And he's like, oh, well, it's just good when people aren't playing Shaman for bench barrier, and being able to go in with the water Ogerpon, the Wellspring Mask Ogerpon, and just kind of take out a Ralton Acurlia, or take out a couple of Dracloak. It's crazy, right? You steamroll a game that way.
Yep.
So seeing Tera Box kind of come back was also really impressive. And I see you got Mee's list pulled up, which was really exciting for me to get to see both Maze. I'll call him by his God-given name, Maze. To see both Maze and Tord get to face off in top 8 was really cool for me, having interviewed both of them for projects that I had been working on recently, and then both of them played in top 8 of the Frankfurt Regional Championships. I actually had come out with a video on YouTube last week. It was like 3 Worlds finalists kind of telling their story of what it was like to get second place at Worlds. It was Michael Premwat, Maze, and Tord. And so like Maze and Tord are both in the same video, and then for them to get to play in top 8 of Frankfurt, it was like really cool for me to get, as a spectator, to get to kind of see. And I was obviously very proud of Maze for getting another big finish under his belt. I know he really wants that big tournament win, as he kind of expressed in the interview that I had with him. He said, he's won regional championships when they were smaller, like kind of back pre 2015, like 2014, 2013. Sure. European regionals he's won, but he's really kind of on the hunt for like a big time cash tournament win. So to see him in striking distance is like really exciting. He's the 2015 Worlds finalist, and it's not like a player that maybe a lot of U.S. players maybe even kind of knew before kind of maybe hearing about like the whole Geno MacBook saga and all that, but has been like a consistently very solid European player, for a very long time, and is well connected in the European scene. So, it was also just great getting to kind of know him better. In my time working with him on the Geno video and interviewing him for the finalist video that I was working on too. But yeah, Tera Box, another big story to come out of the weekend.
Yeah. I mean, I just want to pause here because, we are wondering, I mean, I'm wondering like, okay, where did Tera Box come from? Because you look at this meta versus like the Worlds meta, there was, I think, one Tera Box in top 32, I believe, of Worlds, and that was piloted by Alex Szymanski. And then all of a sudden, just in one tournament cycle, we see Tera Box just all over. Now, granted, it was, played by a lot of the better players, right? It wasn't like random players picking this up and doing well. It was largely a concentrated group of players that decided to bring Tera Box to these events and just kind of surprise everyone, right? I don't think anyone was really prepared for this style of deck. So why now? Why is this deck back as a major threat?
No Shaman, and Pikachu EX is very good against Goldengo, and they're not prepping for it.
Yeah.
Also, like, if Raging Bolt decks are not playing Slitherwing, like, then
Ogerpon's insane against Goldengo if they're not prepping for it.
That's what I'm saying, dude. Like the whole deck is just good like for everything if they're not prepping for it. You got to keep in mind, Tera Box was like the original like front runner for this format.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It was the front runner for this format.
Yeah.
I think it won our Journey Together 3K, I think, at Full Grip Games, and then it kind of became washed really early, and people were like, started teching for it, countering it, and all that stuff, and then inevitably other Noctowl decks ended up kind of becoming more
usurping
in vogue
it.
and more popular. Yeah. But this deck has always been good. I mean, it's always been very good, and I think it's kind of gone full circle now to the point where people are not respecting it at all. And so it was able to kind of pop back up, that's
a good point. I'm like trying to think like maybe Raging Bolt, right? That's probably a pretty bad matchup just because the guys have so much HP. At least, I have to think that would be a tougher matchup because frankly, until this week, right? Until this came back up into relevance, I haven't thought much about Ogre Box or Tera Box in quite a while. So, yeah, I have to imagine.
I'm looking...
it's crazy. So this is where I wanted to go because we can check out the metagame. We can go to day 2. Phase 2 should be phase 2. Limitless, come on, get it together. But look at this, dude. The matchup percentages are absurd, just absolutely nutters on Tera Box. You have a favorable win rate and this is like not just like slightly favorable. This is like owning Dragapult, Raging Bolt. Okay, I guess I didn't think that. Felt like Raging Bolt was probably a good. Maybe that's not Goldengo, of course.
You gotta put a Slitherwing in Raging Bolt. Nobody's playing Slitherwing.
Yeah,
anymore.
Nobody's playing.
I told you, nobody's playing Slitherwing. So Pikachu could just like tear it up.
Yep, Goldengo, Joltik Box. Okay, that's maybe a little bit closer, but certainly less play there. You got favorable into Charizard. You have favorable into Joltik Box. Favorable into Grimmsnarl. There's really not a lot here that you would be scared of, certainly at the top. Crustle, but that's pretty much a non-factor at this point, again, with Gardevoir being so prominent. There's really no reason that, Tera Box isn't just an insane play here moving forward. Now, all this changes heading into Pittsburgh. Like, do we think that players are going to respect Tera Box? It's a fairly... it's a fairly simple deck to counter, right? You can play the Shaman, and for a lot of these stage 2 decks, Dragapult Dusknoir, Charizard, Grimmsnarl, you can just throw a Shaman in there and have some answer, right? That's a really, low cost answer. Gardevoir could play Shaman. They could also play something like Rabska, right? To get around that snipe effect. Do you think that any of these decks are going to respect Tera Box, or does it remain a ridiculously good play moving forward.
I'd say it's got another week in it. Here's the thing. The thing that I have seen so far in my time playing the game for a long time at this point is that like when a European regional happens like that and there's like lots of results, they're not the American player base doesn't necessarily like react reactively to like they don't like hyper react to the European results. Like many American players have kind of had their decks locked in for Pittsburgh, probably for weeks, have it all sleeved up, like are kind of ready to go, probably since like the World Championships or shortly after. A lot of players are locking in their decks early. Now you might get like some players kind of like towards the top, like the tippy top, really kind of like saying like, all right, well, if, some of the best American players show up with Tera Box, I need to be prepped for that. But like, I'd say by and large, I would expect Tera Box to have another good showing at Pittsburgh. I would say that I would expect Tera Box to probably be a thing for a couple of tournaments before I see people really start to say like, hey, this was not a fluke. Like, we need to actually prep for this thing. Right. Yeah. Like in the same way that like, if there's this Conkeldurr deck in top 16, right? Conkeldurr, imagine this Conkeldurr deck makes top 8. I'd imagine if the Conkeldurr deck made top 8, I would expect to see a ton of Conkeldurr decks at Pittsburgh. I would say that I still expect, I think there'll be a lot of copycats for like the fun decks that you see down the line from Frankfurt, right? Like Conkeldurr, I think there'll be a lot of Conkeldurr copycats. I think maybe even Greninja, right? Like there's a Greninja EX deck in top 16 of Frankfurt.
Sure.
I think that those will get like a decent amount of copycats. But yeah, I expect Tera Box to continue doing well. Certainly for Pittsburgh, but like, yeah, that's my thought. What do you
well,
think?
Like, I mean, I guess the question is like, would you prep for it in any way? Like, I know Shaman is not a great answer, right? Especially since it's not able to be grabbed off Buddy Poffin. So for, a lot of these decks, Dragapult, Dusknoir, Goldengo, they're playing, you have your Buddy Poffins and then you have, 3 to 4 Nest Ball. And Nest Ball is really your only way to get out the Shaman. So like you have to kind of get it on your first turn, or else you're at the whim of whatever combo the Tera Box deck can pull off. So it's like it's not a great answer because it's so time specific. So the question is like, do players decide that trade-off is worth it, right? They weren't playing Shaman before. Do they think that making a spot for a Shaman is worth it? I think like overall, yes. I think overall, yes. Yeah,
you
dude.
Think people are going to play Shaman? Gardevoir's not even playing Buddy Poffin. You going to waste one of your precious Nest Balls on a Shaman? Quit playing.
Well, I don't think you probably don't play it in Gardevoir. You probably don't play it in Gardevoir.
Okay, well, that's one of the big dogs.
Well, no, because like Gardevoir is a little bit different than the other Stage 2 decks because you can TM Evo and then you can pretty well assume that the Tera Box deck can't pull off the like boss double knockout. I mean, obviously there are ways to do it. It's just like you can be somewhat safe. Like there is that play, right? Versus the other, like historically the Dragapult decks are very slow. You're giving them maybe like 2 or 3 turns of snipe with the Ogerpon before you're putting on enough, reasonable pressure to take out that threat, and then you have to deal with the Pikachu and back. So, yeah, I don't know. I do think that there are a lot of decks here, as I'm looking at it, that like really benefit from Shaman. I think Grimmsnarl and Dragapult being the 2 main ones. Charizard, too, of course. So, yeah, I don't know, man. Wow, yeah. Now that I'm looking at it, I mean, this is crazy. Same thing for Monterey. Take a look at the metagame here, maybe.
2 Tera Box in top 8 in Monterey too. Dang, that's crazy.
I know. Yeah, I don't know how. Yeah, I'm not really sure how they lose to Gardevoir other than maybe some brickage. But okay, hold on.
Tera Box is a deck that's kind of like, it's kind of all over the place. If you look at the list, it's like that's a deck.
Yep.
Like those are certainly 60 cards.
Yeah, I mean, almost nearing a 60% win rate in day 2, right? Day 2, 60% win rate. Like that is absurd. 70% against Raging Bolt.
It's gonna be good.
Yeah. I don't know how you
Raging Bolt should play Slitherwing again. I think that's like a no-brainer. Yeah. Like if I'm playing Raging Bolt, I'm putting the Slitherwing back in my Raging Bolt deck. Like as far as that being a tech for this, I think like the Slitherwing was kind of there to ward off the Tera Boxes for like a while, and then like Tera Box was non-existent, so like Raging Bolt cut the Slitherwing, but now that Tera Box's rear gets head again, you just put the Slitherwing back in. That's what he's for, right?
Yeah.
So you put it back in and you just are fine. So I think that will be a meta response that we absolutely see. Raging Bolt list should just be playing Slitherwing again.
Yeah, but is that enough? Like is that even enough? I hadn't realized before recording that it was this bad in terms of the win rate.
70%.
Like, that's ridiculous.
Well, Pikachu's a heck of a card. I mean, if it's just Pikachu and Owls, what do? You lose. You're just losing, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you do not have the Slitherwing in your deck and your opponent goes Pikachu plus Owls, you lose that game, right? Because like the Pikachu is the Tera. You don't need to have any other idiot in play.
Exactly, and then you just clean up with Blood Moon for your last 2.
Literally. So yeah, that does sound like a 70-30 matchup without Slitherwing.
Yeah. Now that you're saying it, man. Do I have enough time to? Do I have enough time to learn the Slitherwing?
If you bop the Pikachu with a Slitherwing, like they freaking lose. Like you just went single prizer into their, into their 2-prizer.
Yeah. Okay. So I mean, I guess the format is kind of solved. You're either playing Gardevoir or you're playing Tera Box.
Well, what about Drag? Tord has continued to just like invest himself into this, and he kind of he seems to be. Tord is playing more cards right now than he says he's ever played in his life, right? And he's testing more vigorously for tournaments than he ever has in his life. He's going sicko mode. He told me ahead of our NAIC game that he'd prepped for NAIC before more than any other tournament he had previously. You could tell based on his Twitter posts that he was absolutely crushed after his lackluster performance at this year's World Championships. And then he comes immediately off of that lackluster Worlds finish and backs it up with a finalist showing at Frankfurt after a top 4 showing at NAIC. So he's certainly on a heater with Dragapult. He understands this deck better than probably anybody in the world right now. But he also notably, in 2023, when he got second place at the World Championships, he was having that kind of, relationship with Gardevoir as far as like playing Gardevoir. And like now, notably, he's not playing Gardevoir now. Now he's going Dragapult. And it's funny because, it's not the Gardevoir that Tord was attached to. I think it was the Curlia. I think he likes drawing cards.
Yes.
Right? So now Dragapult is the deck that has that ability. So he's playing Dragapult.
Well, and Dragapult as a card, similar to Gardevoir and the tools that it has, like Dragapult as a card is just, we'll look back at this format and it's going to be Dragapult Gardevoir as just being, the 2 cards, right, that are emblematic of this time of the game, right? And so, I think you're absolutely right. It's like Tord with Refinement Curlia and Recon Directive Drakloak, just being able to see more cards than his opponent.
And trade Zoroark before that, right?
And trade Zoroark before that, absolutely. Just being able to see more cards than your opponent, for him at least, can lead to these better, more consistent finishes. I think that's very true. What's interesting about his list is there's no Stadium, which has been a staple for Dragapult decks, either straight Dragapult or Dragapult Dusknoir, being able to buy yourself a turn against Goldengo players, right? You gust up their Genesect EX, slam down the stadium, slam down an Iono, and if they don't have a Turo, or they don't have a counter stadium, or they don't have like a manual attachment, right, if they hadn't prepped on that Genesect, then they are just going to be stuck there for a turn. And that's pretty much all you need as Dragapult. You can sack a ton of prizes early because you can take those 3, 4, 5, potentially even 6 prize turns at the end of the game. So notably, no stadium counter. And then what I think everyone was very surprised by is the 4 rare candy,
bro.
That's pretty crazy.
Okay, Jesse was on my stream 2 weeks ago. All right.
Yeah.
And he was playing a Dragapult Dusknoir list from Japan with 3 rare candy. And he just got the list from a city league in Japan, had 3 rare candy in it, and was getting flamed by chat. Flamed! You know, we had your Jake Gearhart in chat. We had all your other random people in chat telling him he was an idiot and that the deck list was garbage. And then Torch shows up with the 4 rare candy. It's like, it's not, I mean,
yeah.
But what does it mean? Now that Torch doing it, we ask ourselves, what does it mean? Why? What are we doing here with 4 rare candy?
I think it's I mean, I initially look at it and I say, well, yeah, like Dracloak is still too good of a draw. So you're not necessarily going in for an early Dragapult. You know, at least not in my mind. Like, I think the rare candy combos, certainly you can get like a turn 2 Dragapult, and that is all well and good, and that certainly can be comboed. Like, you can go Hilda, grab your Dragapult and your Neo Upper, and then rare candy, right? So playing more rare candy means that
you're off to the races.
You're just off to the races, and then your hope is that, you know, you just overrun a lot of these other stage 2 setup decks, or even something like Goldango, right? If you get a turn 2 Dragapult against Goldango and you're able to knock out 2 Gimmighoul going second, right? That's like a crazy, that's a crazy play, right, for any deck to come back from. And then, I think that the rare candy is really more so to enable Dusknoir. Because you still do want to be drawing with Dracloak throughout the course of the game, but being able to pop 2 Dusknoir gives you such an advantage over your opponent and such a command over the field, right? So in lists past of Dragapult Dusknoir, the kind of common way to play it, you're very rarely popping 2 Dusknoir, and even more rarely you're popping 2 Dusknoir in one turn. But that's where I feel this list really excels, is that, okay, you get your first Dusknoir up, and then you combo the rare candy Night Stretcher on another Duskull, and you can get that again. And so, that's where I feel like this list shines. That must have been what Tord was seeing in his prep. You also have to think about something like, like these fast, like Tera Box decks, being able to get up your stage 2s before the Ogre Pond just completely overwhelms your field. Have to feel like that maybe factored in to some degree here. But yeah, really, really an interesting list.
God, I would love to know what like Tord's like information network looks like, right? Because from talking with him, it seems like he's kind of a loner. No one ever has. Yeah. No one has the Tord list, right? Like you never see Tord.
Well, that's not necessarily true, but it's very rare, and it's very infrequent. It's infrequent, right? Yes. So it's like you'll see some players with the list, but that won't necessarily be the same players with the list at the next major tournament.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, he doesn't have like his same pack that he like, that he's always playing the same list with. It seems like maybe there's collabs that happen kind of like here and there, that maybe just happened via circumstance. Mm-hmm. But then from talking with him, he says that he does almost all of his testing solo dolo. Like he'll just play against himself, like literally. He says he does testing on TCG Live, like an insane amount, just with various sock accounts, because he says he really enjoys playing against randoms on TCG Live. So I think he just like gets multiple accounts up to Arceus rank and just like grinds the crap out of those sock accounts. And then he says he just thinks about the matchups in his head. It just is like, I just play the game in my head, and he's like, that's a significant part of my testing as well. So like that's That's so sick, right? Like that's crazy because I don't think that there's too many other players in the world that really operate like that.
No. No.
As far as like not having a testing group, I don't know. I feel like Sander Wachik's like one of those players that also just like always has his own list. No one else is playing it, you know.
Yeah.
And also like who's gonna test against Sander's crazy control list? Like
yeah, all the stall players, Andrew, Andre
our lone wolves.
Yeah.
Yeah. All of them are lone wolves because all they play is control, so like no one wants to test with them. But
yeah, that's funny.
Yeah,
fascinating stuff. So I don't know. I doubt that this version of Dragapult Dusknoir will catch on, right? You know, we kind of talk about players locking in their lists in advance, and I just don't see the Dragapult players just switching over to this. I'm sure there are intricacies to this list that, you know, I mean, we're trying to piece it together after the fact, but there are certainly, you know, more intricacies to this list than, you know, we really know of. What's interesting to me is that no other Dragapult Dusknoir. I mean, I feel like maybe heading into this weekend, this is like the tied with Gardevoir for being, you know, BDIF, right? Certainly an S tier deck, at least from Riley and I's perspective, going into Worlds and then being the two final decks at Worlds. You have to give a lot of credit to Dragapult Dusknoir as a deck, but notably, again, the only Dragapult Dusknoir in top 8 was Tord, with his completely unique list, at least in Frankfurt. So if we switch on over to the tournament in Monterey, you know, we see maybe a bit of a different, you know, different story here where there just wasn't a Dragapult in top 8, right? None made that clean ASIM cut. So, you know, maybe a deck on the decline, maybe they just hit the Ogre Pond decks and like you really need a Shaman in this kind of list heading forward. I don't know. But not the best showing for Dragapult Dusknoir. Let's take a look at some of the other more interesting decks from the two regionals. I would say that, you know, this Dragapult Blaziken, right? If we want to talk just a little bit more about Dragapult. Yeah, from Fabian Puhol. Interesting, you know, slimmer Dragapult line, but playing the Blaziken. Blaziken, if you're not aware, has the ability Seething Spirit. Once during your turn, you may attach a basic energy card from your discard pile to one of your Pokemon. So that's not limited to just fire, right? You could attach a Dark, which he does play a couple of. You could attach Psychic. You could, of course, attach the fire. So you have a little bit of versatility here. You can attack with the Chi-Yu. You have Monkey Dory plays. And then he also played a Pekarunt, which is cool to be able to like poison lock things, right? The Pekarunt with the ability that puts 5 more damage counters on your opponent's Pokemon that are poisoned during Pokemon checkup. So what you can do is you can Poison Chain, make your opponent's active poisoned, and then they die to poison so they don't get the Fez draw. That's very relevant against like 70 HP basics or against anything that has 80 HP or a little bit more, knocking out back into this player's turn. So that's kind of cool. So there's like the Pekarunt, which is a little bit of an element of control. The Monkey Dory, which is like, you know, slightly an element of control, right? Because you're spreading the damage counters. And then the Elgium, which says move an energy from one of your opponent's Pokemon to another of their Pokemon. So you have these kind of little wrinkles in the Dragapult deck, all these other subtle attackers that are good in very niche situations that really, I mean, you look at this list and it's like, wow, this is something I never would have thought of, but kind of all makes sense.
Right. I was talking to Jesse about it. I was like, why? Why is there a Blaziken in this thing? And, you know, he kind of put it very succinctly. He's like, yeah, you know, if you've got Blaziken powering up your guys, then it allows you to afford that extra energy attachment to Monkey Dory very easily.
Yeah.
So that made a lot of sense to me. I'm like, okay, Dragapult EX is like a deck where you're manually attaching.
Yes.
You also get to play Secret Box instead of the Neo Upper Energy, right? So that also means that you don't have to play Hilda, because you no longer need to go find your Neo upper energy so that you can play other supporters. And we see, this list taking full advantage of like the Arven Secret Box combo with the TM Evolution.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of allows for a different way of going about playing and building the Dragapult deck. I do also think that, Jesse told me that the Blaziken can be used as an attacker against Golden Go as well. You can attack the Blaziken.
Mm-hmm.
It does 200 damage for 2. So that's pretty good, right? And it's going to one-hit KO. You also have access to the Chi-Yu against Golden Go. So this to me seems like a deck that is certainly kind of respecting Golden Go and has answers to Golden Go, while also just kind of being like a really neat take on Dragapult. So definitely kudos to Fabian for a very unique build, and something it'll be interesting to see if it catches on at all, and if we see any other players try to take this up.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, deck building is going insane right now, right? I mean, Gardevoir, okay, that's the consistent presence, but towards Dragapult Dusknoir, the Dragapult Blaziken, the Tera Box decks, this Greninja deck, and then even we'll come back, we'll circle back to the Goldango in Frankfurt. But you're looking at a Greninja deck that did well. Greninja is able to snipe, discard 2 energy from this Pokemon, does 120 damage to 2 of your opponent's Pokemon. So again, leaning into the fact that not many decks are playing Shaman, and then that Shinobi Blade for the single energy allows you to set up your board 170 for a basic water, and you may search your deck for a card and put it in your hand. Like, that's pretty crazy as well. A combo that with the Dusknoir, like it's 4 rare candy again. Like, how long has it been since we've seen 4 rare candy in decks? I mean, it's certainly the better deck builders are coming out.
Since Badoo. I mean, Badoo came out.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
and everyone stopped. I mean, that was it, right? It used to be 4 rare candy, and then Badoo came out, and then we saw, 1, 2 rare candies, a lot of TM Evo action, a lot of kind of slow, grindy setups, focusing on, Brock scouting, now Hilda. But the 4 rare candy kind of showing that if you just happen to not be playing against Badoo, having this card is like really good. It's like, it turns out, this card's crazy.
Yeah, that's for sure. Here's the top 8 Golden Go list. This was a featured Golden Go variant at Worlds. I think its top placement was top 64, but I know Pedro Torres and some of his group brought it, featuring the Revavroom and Lavincia as your draw engine, and then again moving away from the Energy Search Pro in favor of Lavincia to cycle through your deck a little bit easier, and then you play the 4 Earthen Vessels. So you're really going for an Earthen Vessel setup, very similar to what we saw like pre-rotation, right, at NAI, like the list that we played at NAIC a few years back with the Palkia and Goldango. Like, you're really looking for that Earthen Vessel to get out your energy and then cycle them back with the superior energy retrieval. So another interesting list. Let's take a look
3
at
superior.
I know, 3 superior. Well, because you have the Lavincia,
so
right?
Nuts.
And you're going to take your first prize.
So
I do disagree with that, but you have Lavincia, you have the Earthen Vessels, so yeah. I don't love it. It's not my favorite.
That's so crazy. But
it is pretty crazy. Yeah, it is. It is what it is. And then,
all right.
Let's
talk about Grimmsnarl. What is going on with Grimmsnarl, dude?
Well, what's going on with Grimmsnarl and what's going on with Goldango? I think those are the 2 decks that have seen the biggest hits post-Worlds, right? You had Goldango, which had a just bonkers play rate and conversion rate into day 2, and a pretty solid overall showing at Worlds with a number of decks in the top 32, number of Goldango decks. But you're right. Like, I think the biggest loser recently has been Grimmsnarl. In theory, Grimmsnarl is one of those decks that is quite strong, right? Because you're taking a good matchup into Gardevoir, you're taking a good matchup into Dragapult, by and large. I just think you're probably getting farmed by the Ogre Box decks. And yeah, I mean, we kind of see this. I mean, it's going to be misleading because Mike was the best placing Grimmsnarl deck among the two tournaments. It's a bit skewed here because he did well, so naturally he's going to have won more of his matches, but you do see a negative record into the 3 Tera Box decks that he played. So, yeah, I just have to imagine that that's probably...
dude. He got freaking Conkeldurr.
He got
Is that a loss to Conkeldurr?
That's an L. Yeah, that was his only phase 1 loss.
Yeah, he got Durred, dude. At 7-0, he got Durred.
I don't know. I don't know if that can't be a bad matchup.
Holy cow.
I feel like that has to be a pretty good matchup, but...
All right, pull up the Durr list, dude.
Oh, you want to see the Durr? I was going to say we should take a look at the Grimmy list, but...
All right, well, let's talk about Grimm, and then eventually we have to make our way over
I'm just gonna take a peek. Okay, so the interesting things to me, because I played Grimm, I was really like excited about Grimm at the start of the season, and then I was just getting farmed by Goldengo, and I'm like, yeah, this might not be for me. But the 4/4/4 Arvin Iona research count is interesting. No boss, so relying on counter catcher, which is pretty similar to something like, Gardevoir. I think playing the boss gives you more play into Gardevoir. It helps that matchup certainly, right? Because you are going to most likely be taking the first prize as the Grimmsnarl deck. And then you just have no way to take the 2 prizes off their Gardevoir EX. So I'm not quite sure what to make of that. I think you maybe make up for it in the fact that you play 2 Devolution. So maybe there's ways that you can take, multiple prizes with the TM Devolution. So interesting list from Mike. Let's take a look at the Durr, bro. This was a story out of phase 1. Ultimately, Conkeldurr petered out towards the end of phase 2, right? We had none in that ASIM, the top cut in either tournament, but
dude,
yeah,
this deck won juniors. It won the Frankfurt juniors.
This is crazy. I've seen this on ladder. It's a wild one. So you have Gutsy Swing. It's gonna do 250 damage plus whatever poison damage you're accumulating with the poison that you're adding off the Brute Bonnet. But if this Pokemon is affected by a special condition, again, poison off Brute Bonnet, ignore all energy in this attack's cost. So you're attacking for free on a stage 2, doing 250 plus damage. Smokes Goldango. Yeah, that's without a doubt.
Auto win.
Pretty much.
Auto win.
Yeah, probably about as close to an auto win as you can get there. And then you have some like interesting poison things, right? So you have your Brute Bonnet. You have your Binding Mochi that's going to increase by 40. So if you're poisoned on your opponent's side and you have a Binding Mochi that's plus 40, so you're doing 300 damage off rip. And then you have the Perilous Jungle and Gravity Mountain, one of those, and you're knocking out Dragapults.
Oh, you got the wrong list up, dog.
What are you talking about?
This list got 13th place at Frankfurt.
What am I looking at? Frankfurt?
You're like 26th place.
26th? Okay, you want... What,
you go to 13th. Yeah, dude, you said it fell off. 13th place is crazy.
Fine.
Yeah. Come on now. Put some respect on...
on the donk.
Benjamin. Yeah. Put some respect on Benjamin here. Top placing conk, dude. Come on now.
So true.
Now, it is worth noting that there were multiple conks in top 32. But this is the best looking conk list. All right. Anyways, carry on.
Yeah, so you got your Binding Mochi, you got your, I guess in this list you have your 2 Gravity Mountain. So you're just kind of like, you're smoking on that front. Yeah, I mean, this is just the auto, you want to auto auto anything named Goldango, then you probably just play Conkeldurr. I'm curious to see what
you're doing. 250 plus poison, that's 260 damage, right?
Yeah, so you don't even need any of the other modifiers. But let's see what you lose to. Yeah, okay. I mean, sure. I guess probably Dragapult is your hard matchup. Yeah, that maybe tracks. Right? This player losing to 2 Dragapults. Let's see, just on the whole, how Conkeldurr, not a bad win rate. Maybe there's some, this is in Frankfurt for what it's worth. Yeah, Dragapult is probably your bad matchup. Raging Bolt's fine. Tera Box, like
Raging Bolt is fantastic. That's just fine. That is like a slaughter.
Even Gardevoir, yeah, Goldengo I'd expect to be almost an auto win. Crustle, yeah, of course you're just farming Crustle. Yeah, I mean, not a ton of results here. You're looking pretty 50-50 against a lot of decks other than maybe Raging Bolt and Goldengo. So certainly a good pilot.
But let's talk about kind of the nuts and bolts of this deck, because this is a deck that, now I don't play TCG Live like much, so ever really. So like I had not heard whisperings of this deck. But I did. There was somebody who came up to me at League the other day, and was like, "Will you look at my Conkeldurr deck?" And I was like, "Sure," and like lays it out. And he's like, "Have you seen this yet?" And this was like 2 weeks ago. And he's like, "Have you seen this yet?" And I was like, "No," And he's like, "It plays enriching energy." I'm like, "I don't know what that does." And so like he explains it to me, and
Hilda for 7.
I'm like, oh my god, like okay, so like I get it. You use Hilda as your draw engine with enriching energy, and the concept is that Conkeldurr does not need any energy on it in order to attack, because you are going to have your opponent affected by a special condition.
That's right.
So then you're using energy for their additional effects. Jet energy, you can search with Hilda as a switching out if you would like, which you can use under item lock because it's an energy, not an item, which is nice. And then enriching energy is your draw card, which you use with Hilda to go get the Dunsparce and enriching energy. And the Dunsparce can use the runaway draw ability in combination with enriching energy. So you attach enriching energy to Dunsparce, draw 4, because that is what enriching energy does, apparently, is you attach it to a Pokemon, you get to draw 4 cards.
Apparently, he
and
says.
And then use Dunsparce's runaway draw ability to draw 3 more cards, and it puts itself and the enriching energy back into the deck.
Yeah, man.
And then you could reuse it. Same with the Jet Energy, too. If you want, you could use Jet Energy on a Dunsparce to move it into the active, and then use Dunsparce, put it back into the deck, so you have unlimited switch outs. You will never get stuck, because the Dunsparce will switch itself into the active and then yeet itself away. So you basically have all of like the clunkiness of the deck figured out.
Yes.
Because you're just using energy to do all your additive effects.
Yeah.
And then there's also a 101 Pidgeot line to like really smooth things over.
That's pretty cool. Gotta say.
Yeah. Because like typically with a deck like this, one of the huge problems is that you've got this brute Bonnet with a retreat cost of 3.
Yes.
And he has to be wearing an ancient booster energy capsule. So you're just going to get stuck, right?
Yes.
And like previously there was no reliable way to like mitigate that. You just had to messy the deck up with like switches, and it just didn't really work the way. But like it feels like someone out there has cracked the code. Probably some random TCG Live user has like cracked the code, and now it's become very popular on the TCG Live. And now it's making its way into the real world.
Big conk.
Yeah.
Insane. Yeah, another 4 rare candy deck. I mean, this is, where's Badoo when you need him most, honestly?
MIA, dude. And then the Fan Rotoms, you could just attack with Fan Rotom.
You can just attack with Fan Rotom, bro. Yeah, so you're taking like all your little prizes with the Fan Rotom as you're getting set up, and then you're just conking, turns 3 through the end of the game. Like, just absurd stuff. And the Sacred Ash also,
dude, I would play Conk. I would play Conk to Pittsburgh, dude.
You're joking.
Conk to the Berg. Conk. It's got to be Conk to the Berg, dude. Do you think this deck is real or not, JW?
I mean, this isn't. I mean, it's interesting, right? Like, because it's probably the. I don't know. Outside, it depends on how you classify Gardevoir, right? But this is probably the best 1 prize deck that we have in the format.
For sure.
Right? Like.
Yeah.
Doing what essentially amounts to, knocking out all the stage 2s with a 1 prizer for no energy. So, yeah, I mean, maybe it's real. I wonder.
I'd seen enough with the results. I'm like 50-50 versus like stage 2 decks, and then like you beat everything else. Like you beat all your basic EX decks. You beat all like the Golden Goes. You probably beat all the Tera Box.
You're farming. Like there are certainly good matchups, and then you're beating a lot of the random detritus, right? Like you're just destroying Crustle. I don't even think they have a game plan against you.
Ethan's Typhlosion, all that stuff.
Yeah, Ethan's Typhlosion, that's just getting farmed as well. I guess the problem is going to be your setup, right? I'm just like trying to think here. Yeah, Tera Box has to be not the greatest, although a favorable record there. And then Dragapult, right? Because I'd think that the early Badoo into some kind of spread attack.
This deck does seem like it kind of destroys all the riffraff, but then will like inevitably lose to the best decks and the best players. It does kind of seem that way.
Yeah, I don't know. I think the Dragapult is what, like, playing 3 Dragapult. That's probably on par there.
I'd say if you want a guaranteed day 2 at Pittsburgh, you play this.
That's a wild statement.
I play it well. I mean, you can't just be a Yahoo.
That is a wild statement. I mean, let's take a look. What had the best winning percentage? Okay, so there's...
What was its conversion? Like, I'd be thrilled to know about the conk conversion rates.
Not great, actually. I mean, good. Certainly don't hear me.
4 out of 15? You got to imagine that most of those 15 players did not know what they were doing.
Well, you did have an 071 player. Got to imagine that Justin Tailman. Sorry to put you out.
Put my dude on blast like that. That's crazy, dude. I was willing to say a blanket statement.
I know. Did we have any conk in big conk in Monterey? Let's take a look. Where's conk? Where's she at?
No conk, dude.
No conk?
They're all the way down.
There we go. We got one. I made day 2. That's 100% conversion rate. And what were they losing to? Let's see. They were farming the Raging Bolts.
The Golden Goes.
Golden Go. Well, they were 101 against Golden Go. So there's a loss to a Gardevoir. I don't know. A loss to 2 Maybe Gardevoir is not that great.
That's what I'm telling you. You beat all the riffraff, but you lose to the good decks. That is
So losing to 2 Gardevoirs and losing to 2 Dragapults. Like I have to imagine that it's just.
It's not a real deck. All right. Not a real deck, but you are going to absolutely you are going to ruin someone's day who is playing a self-respecting deck.
Yeah, any like mid player that's playing Golden Go or Raging Bolt.
You're just going to ruin their day, and they are going to go to their friends and they are going to complain that they got conked.
They got conked, dude. Insane stuff. I can't believe you said if you wanted to guarantee a day 2, you play Conkeldurr, and then immediately was refuted by the results from Monterey.
Whoa. Okay, out of the 16 players between the 2 regionals, 5 of them made day 2.
That's not bad.
It's not bad.
It's not bad.
That's not bad. No, and one of them went 07. So you just have to just be just if you are a good conk player, you could probably day 2 with the conk, which is exactly what we saw. We saw the good conk players make day 2.
Right.
We had some. What do you get from top 16 of regionals these days? You get probably $3,000.
Yeah, $3,000.
That's a $3,000. That's a $3,000 conk deck.
All right, you said full grip is vending, huh?
That's what I'm saying. You get your conks for pickup at Pittsburgh.
Okay.
God knows, I know you need a 4-1-3 conk line. I know you don't have that on deck.
You're so right. I probably need most cards in the list, right? I don't even know if I have an enriching energy. That's crazy.
Do not have an English enriching energy, that's for sure,
dude. Okay, now
vendors are going to be selling out of enriching energy at Pittsburgh. I can guarantee you that vendors will be selling out of enriching energy. I can guarantee that.
Oh,
That's going to be like a day one card where people are showing up on my team.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so it's just play Gardevoir. Like I think that's what it's either just play Gardevoir or Dragapult, right? Like that's just what it comes down to.
I don't like those decks though, JW.
Just like copy Tord.
I don't like those decks. See,
Copy Henry.
Here's the thing. Is like I like being good at the Pokemon trading card game. I do.
Yeah.
But like I also just like to play the decks I like. I've been playing for a long time at this point. I don't, you know what I mean? I have a child at home. Like I just like playing the decks that I like, you know.
Yeah.
I'm not putting in the hours that your Henry Chow and your Tord have put into Gardevoir and Dragapult already. I got to pick a different angle. You know, I'm more of like the Tera Box angle guy where like I'm going to come screaming in with a Wellspring mask and say that you are going to have a terrible time dealing with this. That's more of my angle at this point that I'm at is like I'm picking option C because I haven't put in the time with options A or B.
Yeah, but you need to put in the time with the option C, right? It's like you're not going to be playing the best players every single round. You're not going to be playing the best. Yeah, Tera Box is like, that's a technical deck, dude.
Well, yeah, you have to be good for sure. I feel like that's a deck you can figure out on the floor.
Dude, you're insane.
You figure that one out in day 2. By the time you get to day 2, you're going to have your matchups down pat.
You're crazy.
You'll remember what Fan Rotom does. You'll remember to get 2 cards off your knocked out, all that stuff. You'll have that down pat by day 2.
Yeah. Anyway. Yeah. So okay. So if you were going to Pittsburgh, what's your advice? What would you be playing? What would you be telling others to play?
Anybody who I would say is like not put in tons of hours with like Gardevoir or Dragapult, I'm saying it's Goldengo. Like that's my suggestion, just because like that to me feels like it's still just a good deck, right?
Mm-hmm,
like it's just a good deck. It's pretty straightforward. You knock out the stuff in front of you. You draw the cards, right? Like obviously there's a lot of like sequencing that goes into kind of piloting it correctly, but less kind of board state control crap that you have going on with like your Gardevoir and your and your Dragapult decks. I would say Dragapult's probably the hardest deck to play out of all of them. Gardevoir Gardevoir's not that bad to play, honestly. It's you're kind of just doing like the Iona to low knockout stuff with Screamtail type angle, right? Like it's not that bad. It is a come from behind deck usually. You got to make sure that you're doing your monkey stuff correct. So like there definitely is some like kind of minor sequencing that you have to really know how to do with like when to promote Gardevoir, when to like in how to retreat the energy off the Gardevoir in order to get the damage counters in play so that then you can move those with the Monkey Door. You got to do all that crap like correctly.
Yeah.
But like Goldengo has the least amount of like that kind of crap going on that you have to like do right in order to like take big wins. I also just it's funny we like didn't talk about Raging Bolt at all. I think Raging Bolt is still like kind of a fine deck, right?
Yeah, Raging Bolt's probably still fine. Yeah.
Raging Bolt is still a fine deck.
Yeah, you just lose to
top
Guardy,
16 at both.
But as long as you don't care about losing to Guardy, then it's still a fine deck.
Tord will beat you. If you're playing Raging Bolt, I can pretty much guarantee you that. But like, you'll probably beat most of like the other Dragapults you play, and you'll probably, you might even squeeze some wins out versus some Gardevoir decks. Like I beat Rahul at NAIC playing Guardy.
Sure.
When I was playing Raging Bolt, like you just go fast, right? Like you can win, just go fast.
Yeah.
So Raging Bolt's still like a fine deck. I think Goldengo and Raging Bolt are kind of feeling like those fine decks right now. The hotness, if you want like an option C, to me feels like Tera Box currently for Pittsburgh. But like that could change right after Pittsburgh. But like I would say that like speaking currently, Tera Box kind of seems like the hot option C. What do you think?
Yeah, it's hard to argue with Tera Box. I mean, you look at the win rates, man. Like that's just absurd. Like there's really not a bad matchup for Tera Box right now as lists currently stand. Again, that maybe changes. There are a few bad matchups. Maybe those rise a bit. Shaman most certainly will increase overall, right, as a result of Tera Box. Now, whether or not good players will play it, I mean, that remains to be seen. But just generally speaking, that will see an increase in play. And so how much does that affect Tera Box players, right? Like, do you want to continue to play that if you did well in Monterey? You know, probably. Are you looking to pivot into Tera Box for this tournament? Like, probably not. If you're listening to this on a Wednesday, like, you're probably not going to pick up Tera Box and play it for Pittsburgh. But yeah, I agree with you. That's the hotness. I think really, like, the Golden Go decks seem on the decline. So something like Golden Go Joltik Box had been getting a bit of hype in certainly in like the online tournament scene. That didn't really pan out. I think that has some pretty nasty consistency flaws. And Pikachu in that deck is probably, you know, not the, I don't know, premier way to play it, right? You look at a deck like Tera Box that can just get a Pikachu out of nowhere as maybe being the better way to play Pikachu. So outclassed a little bit in that regard. And then straight Goldengo or Goldengo with Togekiss, you know, just didn't really have the results you had in Frankfurt. Owen Kammerman tying the last round. Probably was going to win that game to make the ASIM cut, but ended up tying and tying his way out of cut. So, like, you know, Goldengo's in the mix, but I'd say that was the last stream game of phase 2.
That was the last stream game. Yeah.
Dude,
50 plus 1, bro.
I know. It definitely, it definitely is interesting how players are going to.
I don't think it's interesting. I think it sucks.
Well, yeah, sucks for the people. Well, I mean, to be frank, it sucks for the people that can't abuse it. I'm
going to be honest,
right? It sucks for the people that can't abuse it. For the people that can abuse it, it's great. I think for a lot of play, like actually, like the methodical players, this is a major change for them, like in the positive sense.
It just got way easier to one game somebody.
It got way easier to one game somebody. Absolutely. Because now you're finishing, you're finishing that first game 30, 35 minutes. Oh yeah, dude. Like pretty much anyone, even of like a, mid skill level, could take that last game 15 minutes and then basically guarantee that their opponent can't take that last prize in the +1. So, especially with how lax we are about the first turn and the first deck search and like, preying upon upon players not like calling a judge, right? Out of like you play, and it could even be like you play a really brisk.
It's unenforceable.
It's unenforceable.
I mean, we could do a whole episode. We could do a whole episode on this, but I've been maintaining for the longest time that like the best players know how to play the clock the best.
Well, but here's the other issue. Just got like a
lot easier. It got a lot easier.
Yeah, I would say there's one other main issue, and that's just the lack of judge staff, right?
You can't enforce it though.
No, that's not true because
judges are not going around to every match with like a
no. I'm not, but I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. But they aren't. They also aren't doing spot checks, right?
Yeah.
Like it's not even something where it's like there's audits happening. There are not enough judges.
True. That's true.
There are not enough judges walking around on the playfield to even take samples of what's happening. Right. Because, it's the same thing with like deck checks.
Every top player should be getting audited randomly throughout the event. Every top player.
Exactly. And we just don't have the judge staff to do it. Right. Because, and you know this, right? Like I've made judge calls and I've gone, judge, and it's taken 2 minutes for a judge to come to the table. In my opinion,
calling a judge is like the worst thing you could do.
In my opinion, that just shows yes, I agree. In my opinion, that just shows a lack of availability for judges. And I think that's the big problem, right? If you had a judge for every table, obviously unrealistic, but that's like the ideal scenario. If you had a judge for every table, you can enforce some of these things. We don't. So how close can we get to that? I think we are so far away from that. And that is, we're so far away from a judge at every table, which is, I guess, like the ideal, right? In a perfect world. But, we are so far on the opposite side of that spectrum, and that I think plays a big role into all this. But Yeah, it gets way easier, I think, for players. I heard a lot of discussion on Twitter. 50+1 didn't necessarily save a lot of time. Granted, it was the first set of tournaments with this new style, so maybe still some kinks to work out. But yeah, certainly will be easier to play the clock here in Pittsburgh. So we'll see how that goes. We're talking about kind of best decks. Yeah, Golden Go on the decline. I think Gardevoir, Dragapult, they're just the two decks, right? Those are just the two decks. I think you could play a Shaman, play something like Rapska and Gardevoir, give yourself a little bit better of a Tera Box matchup. But yeah, Tera Box on the rise. Gardevoir, Dragapult still S tier in my opinion. Goldango, and pretty much everything else on the decline. So there you have it, folks. That is our kind of metagame discussion. We did want to hype up the 6K that's happening the week after Pittsburgh. Andrew, why don't you talk a little bit about that before we close?
Yes, sir. We've got the Full Grip Games Mega Evolution $6,000 doubleheader happening in beautiful Akron, Ohio. Going to be co-cast by myself, JW Kriewall, and Riley Hulbert will also be joining us. So we're going to have all three tag teamers present to help produce this exciting event for you all at home, but there is still time to sign up. So if you are in Pittsburgh and want to make the quick little jaunt over to Akron, just 2 hours drive away, you could have yourself a whole Pokemon fiesta, right? Mm-hmm. Because we have got the standard $3,000 cash Mega Evolution event happening on Saturday, September 27th, and the $3,000 cash Gym Leader Challenge event featuring cards for Mega Evolution on Sunday, September 28th. Mm-hmm. So that is $6,000 between those two events. Mm-hmm. Signups are available now at fullgripgames.com. Going to be a ton of fun. These release weekend events are your first opportunity in the West to play a major cash event with the new cards from Mega Evolution legal. Next week on Tag Team Podcast, we are going to be doing a deep dive into the Mega Evolution metagame, which is already underway in Japan. We've got City Leagues back and results to look at, as well as Champions Leagues coming up in Japan, and the Mega Evolution 6K doubleheader happening in Akron. So thrilled about that. What's to come? A lot of exciting things, JW.
Yeah, absolutely. I can't wait to cast that event. That'll be a lot of fun. And I think what I am excited about, these release weekends, we participated in some, in the past. I've been at a few. Obviously played some pretty well.
You've won one.
I know. I won one of the GLC events. Yeah, that was pretty great. And came in second. So you could argue that I'm one of the most decorated
winningest GLC players of all time.
One of the most winningest GLC players of all time. Probably won't enter another GLC tournament just so I can maintain that prestige, that
perfect
status.
Rating. Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But what I like about these events is they really feel like a time gone by. And what I mean by that is, you still have some of your, if you're just coming into the game and you're learning the game, like you still have some of those heroes or idols that will make the trip out, but it's not so overwhelming like you would have at a regional championship. There's not this, there's a lot of people. Granted, these events have certainly continued to pick up in popularity, but it's not something as big as what we've seen, from a regional level. So this
thousands,
takes me back
right?
to
It's not thousands.
It's not thousands. You're dealing with
100.
hundreds. Yeah, you're dealing with hundreds, right? And so it takes me back to, some of those early regionals that I played, or some of the, state championships. And that's like it's such a good vibe. It really just, I can't quite explain with how like over, and I'm not saying this negatively, it's just like a different experience, but how overproduced a regional or an IC or Worlds is, to have that cardboard tabletop experience, at the release weekends in this kind of like, harkening back to states like event. I mean, it's just a whole different experience. So if you're on the fence about coming out, I would really encourage you to make it out for this event or one of the other tournaments in the future at Full Grip, because it does give you a different perspective on what cards and what Pokemon TCG is. And so, yeah, that's my piece there. Hope you guys will check it out. Go over to fullgripgames.com and register today. So that is going to do it for Tag Team. You can find us over on X at Tag Team Pokemon for the podcast, at Real John Walter for myself, and at Enjoy Friend for Andrew. That's going to do it for us today, guys. Thank you all so much for listening, and we'll catch you next week.